worked with Heather Graham prior to this, or first time?
I yeah, well, no, we hadn't worked together. We kind of knew each other socially, but she just sent me the script, and I thought it was hilarious and
Yeah.
heartfelt, and I was really excited about her directing. So it was a no-brainer for me to say yes and sign on.
I was curious if there's a component of the script that maybe struck a nerve with you particularly, whether, the chosen family element or the sisterly dynamic, or if there's something kind of jumped out at you from the
I
get-go.
have a very short attention span when it comes to scripts, and this one caught my attention and also just made me laugh as I was reading it.
Yeah.
But I think I've discovered more that like as an actress, I didn't even realize that I was gravitating towards parts where you can play out all the things in real life that you can play out all the things on screen that you can't really do in real life. And I think there was something about Cleo that like she's so, I mean, yeah, on the surface she's kind of bratty and self-absorbed and throwing tantrums and acting out and struggling with her sobriety and all that. But I think because I've been so used to as an actress being polite and not like insisting on anything, not trying to make demands as a person. I felt like she does the exact opposite. I think that's what I kind of unconsciously I was drawn towards. Is like, oh, this girl's really like making herself heard.
Yeah, I definitely like Cleo.
You know what I really liked about her is that she's like cutting through all the sort of polite passive aggressiveness that
Right.
everybody else is doing. She's
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
really no bullshit. That I appreciate about
Yes,
her.
that's it. That's it. Exactly. Well, great. And Heather Graham starring and directing in this, and I understand you recently wrapped your directorial debut, Wish You Were Here, which was very exciting. Isabel Furman, and I'm such a fan. I was curious if there's anything more you could share about it. I was reading about it. It sounds great, and if you're able to, I'd love to hear more.
Yeah, it's called Wish You Were Here. It's based on a book that I adapted like 4 years ago. Somebody sent me, it's Renee Carlino is the novelist, and somebody sent me the book, and I thought, oh, this will make a really good movie.
Yeah.
And it's a love story. It has some rom-com elements, but ultimately it's a pretty tragic love story. And just I think ultimately about like appreciating the present moment and the time that we have on earth because life is precious. Um, and yeah, it'll be out in theaters, I think early next year. I don't have an exact release date yet, but pretty soon.
Very cool. Well, it's great. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. And yeah, I find that happening. I'll read a book and be like, "Oh, this would be an awesome movie. Why hasn't this happened yet?" So I'm glad
But
you actually, yeah,
Heather sent me Chosen Family a few years ago, kind of alongside. We were very much like side by side in trying to get our films set up and financed and in production, and very supportive of each other. And she filmed Chosen Family in May, and then I was able to film Wish You Were Here after that, after the SAG strike. So it was a great opportunity for me to be on a film set with a female actress directing, and that was very inspirational to me.
well, that's great. That answers my next question. I was, was there, anything Heather was doing on set that you found yourself doing later? So, a technique she was doing, or something you found yourself modeling after in particular.
I mean, I think I was really impressed with how collaborative she was. She was very open to seeing the other actors and what the other actors would bring to it, and that says a lot given that she wrote it. So I'm sure that she had an idea of what she wanted out of our performances, but she was still really receptive to what we brought to the table. And she was just very respectful, but I could tell that she had, she could make it, she could assert her opinion very clearly, but in a very respectful, kind way, which is definitely something that I wanted to emulate.
I also wanted to mention, I can't believe it's been 25 years since 10 Things I Hate About You was released. Love to hear from you, why you think it's such an iconic movie, and why do you think I think it still holds up, and why do you think, it's still playing on TV and
It means so much to me. Like honestly, I'm very grateful, and I totally appreciate that people still care about that movie because for me, it was such a huge um, moment for me starting out as an actress where I was constantly, you face a lot of rejection and a lot of criticism, especially when you're an auditioning actor. And for me, it was as a 17-year-old girl, when you're still trying to figure out who you are. The feedback was always like, you're too serious, you're too feisty, you're too, whatever it was, thoughtful, lighten up kind of thing. And then I read 10 Things I Hate About You, and that character really spoke to me in terms of how unapologetic she was about her opinions and how she was kind of an outsider. And so then 25 years later, to have other people gravitate towards that movie for probably similar reasons is like really a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yeah,
And also as a performer, that's why you make movies. You want people to watch them and take them with, carry the story with them.
absolutely. Yeah, and that was such a wonderful performance. So yeah,
Thanks.
that's great to hear, and congrats on that too. I mean, yeah, like I said, you turn on cable more often than not. It's still in syndication, playing on TBS or and it's also 20 years since Bourne Supremacy was released. I know you were in other Bourne movies, of
Wait,
course.
since Supremacy, really? Not
Yeah,
Identity? Are you sure? Are you
that one,
sure?
and that one was my favorite.
Yeah, the Bourne movies were like my entire adult life.
Do you stay in touch with Matt Damon or anyone from those movies, cast or crew or anyone?
Um, I keep in touch with Doug Liman actually. I called Doug Liman. He directed the first one, The Bourne
Right.
Identity. I called him before making Wish You Were Here to get some advice on directing. Because there's a portion of Wish You Were Here on a sailboat, and that's really challenging to film. There's a challenging location to film on, moving location.
Yeah.
So I know that he not only has filmed a lot of action movies, but he also has a sailboat, and so I called him to just pick his brain about how to accomplish that. Matt and Paul Greengrass and some of the other people from the later movies, um, I haven't really seen since we had to promote the last Jason Bourne movie.
Great. Well, I can't wait to see you. Wish you were here. And in the meantime, congratulations again on Chosen Family. It's a wonderful little project.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, hope we can chat on the next one. And nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Thanks,
Take
Jill.
care.
Bye.